Welcome back to the Links Golf Podcast. I'm Al Lunsford, digital editor for Links. I'm joined by Joe Passoff. Today, our episode is a Masters primer. We're getting ready for the 89th Masters at Augusta National Golf Club, and this episode of the podcast is for anyone who's going to the Masters this year or in future years. This is a what you need to know about, certain rules and regulations, the basics of attending the Masters, but also our preferences and must do's while you're at the tournament. This will be my fourth Masters going this year. And Joe, you've been to a few yourself, I believe.
Most recently, 2023 was my 17th time at Augusta National during Masters Week. And I have never been to Augusta National outside of Masters Week, other than the Monday that I got drawn to play the golf course. Both of us very fond memories from that. But yeah, Al, I think I'll say at the onset, when we do a Masters preview, Masters do's and don'ts like this, you just have to come out and start and say how privileged we are whenever that happens. And we're fortunate enough to get to that golf tournament beyond the grounds where we know history is going to be made. It's not just blowing smoke.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, the greatest sporting event in the world that you can attend, in my opinion. And I've done Super Bowls, I've done national championships for college basketball, and I stand by that. The Masters is the greatest thing in the world you can attend as a sports fan. And so, yeah, this is for people who have gone before and are going again, or going in the future, or someone who's going for the very first time. What you need to know. So, I'd like to start this episode by going over some basics, some ground rules for you as a patron at the Masters. And the Masters does a great job of spelling a lot of this out in their patron guide. You can visit masters.com/patron and find many need to know basics and facts, rules, regulations, what you can bring in, etc., about attending the Masters tournament. But we will spell some of that out, and we'll give you some of our favorites. So, Joe, first of all, we're going to start with some general ground rules, some basics. The first being go and read that patron's guide on the Masters website. Secondly, note the rules that you need to follow while you're on the grounds. Of course, Monday through Wednesday are the practice round days. Tournament days begin on Thursday. Everyone knows this. Starting on Thursday, no cameras allowed on the property. We all know the rule about no phones being there. Those need to stay in your car. You can, in fact, wear a smartwatch, like an Apple Watch, as long as it isn't used to receive or send calls, anything like that. You can use it as a fitness tracker, but not to communicate as you would with your cell phone. But Monday through Wednesday, you can bring, a disposable camera, something to take pictures those days. That's a very popular thing to do in the practice round days. The Masters website has a large list of prohibited items to know about. Go and read that so you don't have to run back to your car before you go in the tournament. And one of the biggest rules, Joe, that I constantly hear the volunteers at Augusta as you're going around the grounds: no running. Absolutely not. Beyond the fact that it's considered unacceptable behavior at the Masters, and that's a direct quote, you just want to take your time and take it all in. It is a rule. It should be one that you shouldn't need to worry about if you're there and just enjoying yourself and taking it all in. But yeah, no running. You always hear volunteers barking at people like it's a pool that you're getting yelled at by a lifeguard running by the pool. It's the same kind of feeling.
Yeah, you don't see it too often because most people know that by now. But once in a while, somebody's got their track shoes ready to go and wants to, yeah, don't. It is really all about politeness and civility, concern for each other, and that's a big reason why we don't have the say the stampede like you see at the WM Phoenix Open.
Yeah, so you're trying to find Tiger or get to a group that you're trying to see. Just walk. Those are the rules, and you want to make sure you're following them. I would say get there early. It goes without saying that you want to maximize this day of a lifetime. So your ticketing gates open at 7 a.m. At Augusta, the course opens at 7:30. Those gates close for entry at 6 p.m. So for some reason you're in a traffic jam, you get a flat tire on your way to the Masters, you're going to be late. Just know that after 6 you can't get in. So those are your timelines to know. Then when you do arrive, there is free parking available, first come, first serve out there. Know your gate based on where you want to go first. So there's two gates for patrons when you're entering Augusta National. Both have merchandise, concessions, restrooms, and other patron conveniences. You've got the north gate, which is closest to the practice area. You'll walk right by the range and the putting green, chipping green. You'll stroll right in past the big merchandise. It's not a tent, it's a building. Um, Onto number one fairway, the big giant master scoreboard, and the clubhouse right there. That's at the north gate. The south gate gives you a shorter walk to the bulk of the golf course, including Amen Corner, holes 15 and 16, and other popular areas that people want to place chairs at to make sure that they have their seat for later in the day. I've always gone in the north gate. I see people going in the south gate. I'm not sure. Have you been in both of them at this point, Joe? Typically, you're coming in the main north spot to the first fairway.
Right. And it does evolve. I mean, every few years, there are new traffic patterns and new places to park, and the rest of it. In the club continually expands its footprint by buying up local properties, and again, making it better, easier, more accessible for patrons lucky enough who do attend.
Pay attention. There's plenty of signage out there. You're not going to get lost once you're near the golf course. They'll tell you exactly where to go, and plenty of, you know, police officers and other volunteers that are able to point you in the right direction should you need that. And the last of the basics here, the ground rules. I think again, most people probably know this by now, but if you haven't attended, you might not know that all facilities at Augusta National are now cashless. So there is actually no need to bring any cash. It's not accepted anywhere. Credit card and debit card are the only accepted methods of payment at concessions, merchandise, and shipping locations when you're at Augusta. So don't bring cash. Do bring your credit or debit card because that's how you'll be paying for anything while you're at the Masters.
Well, okay, Al, just to echo that in your introductory remarks, um, again, you Monday through Wednesday for the practice rounds, you can bring in basically any kind of camera you want, a real camera. I mean, the whether you're Nikon, Olympus, or whatever you shoot, Konica, Minolta, I don't remember. It's been a while, but it can be as good a quality as you want to carry around during your day. Just cannot be a cell phone or transmitting photos via smartphone. So again, just know that going in. Also, if you do happen to slip up and bring a cell phone in, um, meaning it's left your car and it's in your pocket or on your person, and you notice it when you're going through the security check, and they will notice it. So there's a place to check those items, any prohibited item that you accidentally bring in, and they're very accessible as well. However, once tournament play ends, the lines can be a little bit long. I think folks are getting more educated about that, but just know that you can check the item. It will be safe. You will retrieve it at the end. And don't attempt to bring a contraband item in, because however you got that ticket or badge, that can reflect on the source, whether you got it originally or gifted from someone, and can lose privileges to attend future masters or the rest of that masters. Just not worth the risk.
Great points. Yeah, it goes back to the original ticket holder. So if you did get it as a gift, it will reflect poorly on whoever that ticket originated at. And yeah, you can bring proper camera. I don't think drones are allowed. I'm pretty confident that they are not. Um,
And I'll never call a drone a proper camera, but you young folk, yeah, I know.
it must be said. It must be said. I did have one
Sure.
more because right before we started recording, I was telling Joe my kids are napping. They may run in here while we're doing this. Um, the question came up, do kids of a certain age, like if you have a 1 year old, does that kid need a ticket, or are they, like other sporting events, if you're 2 and under, you can get in without a ticket? We looked this up. I found something from the Augusta Chronicle that said every attendee, regardless of age, needs a ticket. So don't assume that you can come and bring your newborn baby and they can just get in the Masters, because according to the Augusta Chronicle that I read, that's not the case. So you definitely need a ticket for every individual human. Um, I know you have to be 21 to apply for Masters tickets. Um, Regardless of age, though, once you do have tickets, each body needs one of those. Um, yeah. Other than that, I think now we can roll into some of our personal preference, our must dos. We each have seven here, so we're gonna go back and forth uh, and do two and two each, and at the end we'll have one left to go over. I've done a lot of talking, so I'll throw it to you, Joe, to start this list.
Well, Al, I'm happy to start this off, having covered my first Masters in 1992. Although I have to give you the recency factor for, I believe when you covered it last year, you were also able to play the golf course on the Monday afterwards. So I don't want to let another Masters a podcast edition here at Links go by without at least refreshing our audience with a highlight or two. For now, I'll get started. All right. Here's one of my must dos, and it's only tangential to attending the Masters. But yeah, as Al mentioned, they're going to kick you out off the property at 6:30 p.m. At least generally, that's the way it works. Okay, perhaps there's exceptions when things go late, given weather delays or other factors. So you'll make note of that. But at some point, you got to go. Party's over, out you go. And there's one place in particular in Augusta I like to recommend above all others, and that is the Partridge Inn. It's close to Augusta National. I'm going to say 10 minutes, even with traffic moving. And it's now a Hilton property, but it's 115 years old. And in a revamp back in 2015, they kept the original wood paneling, the ceiling tiles. But I just love it for a taste of old Augusta. You can dine there. You don't have to be staying there to dine there. You can have a drink there at one of the bar and restaurant facilities that they have. They also, in recent years, have a really cool rooftop bar. Now, you sort of have to get a special badge to be up there for that, which you can obtain by going to the Partridge Inn, and for a nominal cost and process and so forth. The views that you get on a nice night, and great temperature and the conviviality and the rest of it, excellent experience. So they have old time Southern Augusta favorites on the menu, such as the bread basket with biscuits and cornbread. You can get fried green tomatoes, and they do have, of course, fried fish, fried chicken, and pimento cheese that we'll discuss when we get into Masters food. You can get all kinds of other things too. But just saying, if you want that taste of Old Augusta after you've left the grounds at Augusta National, the Partridge Inn is my personal pick.
Yeah, I've never been to this place. That it looks, extremely cool. It's very old school, and it'd be a great place to have a wedding. Sounds like that's a popular thing. I know during the week they offer daily shuttle service to and from the course if you're staying there, so that could be a good option. It's probably pretty popular, so I would say you need to do that well in advance in terms of booking your room there. Um, but yeah, like you said, tangentially, among the things to do, historic downtown Augusta is really great, super charming. You can walk on the Riverwalk along the Savannah River. The past couple of years, we've gone to a good little spot called Craft and Vine, right there
Mm-hmm.
on Broad Street in downtown Augusta. Good place for pizzas and charcuterie boards there. But explore the space. It's not just the golf club while you're there. If you want to check out all that Augusta has to offer, then it's not far from the golf course to the downtown historic district. So, good call in not just limiting your master's experience to the day at the course, although that should be the majority of your time there for sure, I would say.
Well, as we're going to get into, and I think one of your early points to steal a tiny bit of thunder is take every bit of daylight you possibly can for your master's experience, especially if it is just a 1 day thing or it's your first time, whatever. So the next on my list of must dos, Al, was the Wednesday par three contest. And it is a contest. It is a lot of levity compared with the seriousness of actual tournament rounds. I think that's why they maintain the word contest. That's where you'll see most of the top names that are in the field, along with a few golf personalities that didn't qualify to play in the Masters, but may have won a U.S. Amateur in the past, or there as an observer. You'll see all kinds of fun pairings along with wives and young children. Yes, we're back on the topic of toddlers and youth, and you will see little 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds and 7-year-olds in these adorable caddy outfits. Okay, some of the purists out there might roll their eyes, gnash their teeth, etc. I think, given the seriousness of what's to come the following day, that is a really fun way to unwind on a Wednesday. So if you're lucky enough to be there on a Wednesday, watch everybody doing the practice in the morning on the putting green at the range and all, but go out and see that par three event. It's got serious history dating back to 1960. And my recommended spot would be the eighth or ninth hole. Both of them have hillsides on either side of a gorgeous pond. And if you can get there early enough, and you'll have to because it fills up pretty quickly, that's where you want to be. You'll be able to see every group come through. And until play starts, and play does begin at noon on the first hole, it's a really nice place to just hang and talk and let the world go by. So that is those are my recommendations for the Wednesday par three tournament. Go see it, participate in history, enjoy the levity, and if you can, get out to 8 and 9 as maybe the prettiest viewing spots.
Yeah, if you've never been there too, it's when you walk in that north gate entrance, like we were talking about, out to the first hole, first fairway. You walk up past the first tee, beyond the putting green in the clubhouse, and go down another hill right there, and it unfolds in front of you, the par three course. It's spectacular and a lot of fun, very low key. Um, Everyone's in a good mood on Wednesday at the Masters, typically. A lot of fun, but it leads me to my first point. I'm going to dig down on one of my other points here about when you're there at the Masters. It could be the only time you go. You never know if you're actually going to come back. Nothing's certain. No matter how many connections you have, it could be your first. It could be uh, your fifth time that you've been to the Masters. You never know if you're going to actually come back for another one. You're going to want to make sure to walk the whole course. That's one of my must dos. And as it relates to Wednesday, I think Wednesday during the par three contest is actually the best time to walk Augusta National of the entire week because seemingly everybody on the grounds is over there watching the par three course, and the course itself is, completely empty. That's what it felt like to me when I did this one year. So it's almost like you have the place to yourself, and just the feeling of walking around. Uh, I did starting at 1 and did 1 to 18, the full routing, and walked the whole thing, saw every corner and inch of the place that I could. And to have it there uh, all alone, it's a almost sacred sort of experience as a golf fan. It's the quietness, the stillness as you're watching a gentle breeze roll through the huge tall trees and the flowers that are all over the grounds. It makes for a thrilling and memorable personal experience. But regardless of what day you do it, I think, especially if it's your first time, go see every inch of that place. And one of my must dos is walking the entire course.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a golf fan, Augusta National is one of the most iconic golf courses in the sport. Don't even have to have a debate about that. So then what do you take in? Yeah, you do get the full walk and how the holes shift from one to the next, the rhythm of the golf course as the players play it. And you can see where, yeah, maybe here's a slope that I don't always see on television, but having to walk it, maybe on some of the golf holes that don't get as much television time, such as the amazing fifth hole, the furthest one from the clubhouse. So, Wednesday afternoon that you mentioned, again, if you folks are lucky enough to be there on a Wednesday, the reason it's so empty during the par three tournament is that practice rounds and play are prohibited during that time. So, Monday and Tuesday, you get to see players in the field practicing. Okay, they can drop three balls and chip or do whatever they want to do from start to finish as they play these rounds. But once the par three tournament starts on Wednesday afternoon, no more play on the big course. Most of the spectators, well, we call them patrons at the Masters, are riveted by the action on the par three or looking at the practice putting green or on the range. And so you do get that tranquil effect as you watch the golf course unfold as if you were playing it.
Right. Yeah. If you're a fan of golf course architecture, and don't necessarily need to see someone playing it in its raw, unfiltered form, then do that while no one else is out there. And like you said, it's everyone talks about how hilly it is and how they didn't realize the undulations on the green and all of these things, and you'll see that firsthand. It's absolutely, I tell anyone this who's never been to the Masters, in terms of things that fully live up to this tremendous hype that is around them. It does 100% live up to the hype. So, okay, that checks off my first must do. Second one, I would say, when you're getting there, it is the most popular time to go to merchandise, but I would say go ahead and get in line and get your merchandise shopping out of the way. The golf shop hours at the Masters are 7 a.m. until 30 minutes after play has ended. They do restock items throughout the day, although nothing's guaranteed in the item that you may have been looking for if you've done some research beforehand, that being in store. But the line goes quickly. They're very long lines, but there are people holding signs telling you exactly how long it's anticipated to be, depending on your spot in line, and it moves very quickly. It's a well-oiled machine at this point. Um, Go in, get your bag, peruse and figure out what you want. If you don't want to carry those items around with you all day, maybe you're buying something in particular that you're going to use while you're at the tournament, maybe not. But if you don't want to be lugging that stuff around, they have options to both check your purchase items, then you can come back around and pick it up on your way out from the tournament. You can even have items shipped to your home. So you can go to the designated shipping station and pay to have those items shipped back, so you don't have to worry about, you know, if you flew in your luggage on the plane, or packing everything into your car. They'll ship it right to your door for you. So a couple of conveniences there, but I like just getting that stuff out of the way, so then you don't have to think about and plan your whole day around, all right, when do I have to get back over to the shop so that I can get all of that stuff done. Just go ahead and do it, and then you can focus on the rest of your day enjoying the golf.
Al, great point, because let's not minimize this. Everybody goes and shops at the merchandise tent, center, whatever we like to call it. It's the Masters logo. It is just one of those things. Yeah, there you go. Uh,
Rocking it.
and it's not just a little something for yourself, it's friends and family members that, if they have any interest in golf, would be hugely appreciated, big or small, having something from the Masters tournament with that logo. I have done the shipping option half dozen times. Generally, I was headed somewhere else, or it was massively inconvenient with the amount of stuff I bought to have to transport it that way. Typical Masters, it's free. Now you pay the shipping costs, but the Masters doesn't charge you to wrap it all up and do what they do. Again, just an incredible service. So, what should you buy? I mean, again, the options are so numerous, and budgets being what they are, just about everybody I know has broken the bank, blown the budget, because again, there's just so many things that you want. I just, looking around here, stuff that I haven't even unwrapped, so to speak. Here's my $12 Masters coffee mug, very solid deal, and has not had its first cup of Java yet. What I have gotten a lot of use out of, both at the tournament, and these are one of the only items that are permitted, and then looking around the neighborhood for owls and cardinals and other things, are binoculars. And at the time I bought them 10, 12 years ago, $29. And it was pretty simple, and they're well built, and they last. And there you have it. I still use them on a semi-regular basis. And for all of the things the Masters won't let you bring in, you can bring in a collapsible chair to sit on. But your best move is to buy them at the merchandise center under the tent. They're not expensive, and they've got the Masters logo. And one of the most remarkable enduring Masters traditions is you can set them up. If you get to a spot early enough on a golf hole, leave it there, or multiple chairs, and nobody bothers with them. You go off and watch golf, or get your concessions, or whatever you want to do, and that is Masters civility. You come back and those chairs are right there waiting for you.
It's truly remarkable. And there are occasions when you could sit in somebody's chair that they set down, but so long as if they come back, that's their spot. They claimed it. So I agree. Best coffee mug in the game. I have a couple myself. I also love the umbrellas, Joe, that you can buy, and You can tote those around on property too if you're expecting weather. Everyone knows that green and white umbrella. They're incredibly sturdy. Um, Probably the best umbrella I've ever owned. It got sort of like a golf grip on the end of them too. So those are super nice. I think when I bought mine, it was maybe $30 or $35. So pretty affordable too. And everyone needs an umbrella at one point or another. So why not let it be a master's umbrella? Um, yeah.
And finally, Al, if you're looking for a gift for someone who's not necessarily a huge golfer, but would appreciate something like that, I have done many times over the years wine glasses, cocktail tumblers, iced tea glasses, and that kind of thing. Those are always going to be just fine. In particular, the iced tea glasses, they picture some of the different golf holes at Augusta each year. I can look on my shelf right now and see Magnolia number 5. And if my vision were better, I could spot one over on another shelf. So again, it doesn't have to be for the golf fanatic, but just something thoughtful. You say, I brought this back from Augusta, and or had it shipped, and happy birthday or Merry Christmas.
Or yeah, just knock your Christmas shopping out in April for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back to you now, I think.
All right, Al. We are still in the heart of tournament time for my third must do, whether it's a practice round or a tournament round, gallery spots. Okay. Where are the best places to watch the action at Augusta National? So we will talk about the clubhouse and some of the arboreal aspects related to the clubhouse very soon. But right next door to all of that is the practice putting green. Maybe your best chance of all to see multiple players up close and see what they're doing and talking about. And you are really, really right there in their grill, so to speak. So that is closer now to the 10th tee, although the first tee stretches pretty far back as well now. That's a great spot. But out on the golf course, I'm pretty sure this still exists, is there is a small grandstand behind the 12th tee. Doesn't hold a whole lot of people, and there's a ton of hill space around that, but there's an actual grandstand. And you don't need a special badge. I think a regular one will be just fine for most of the rows there. You just got to get there early or be lucky enough to squeeze in. Because what that does is you get to see one of the greatest par threes on earth unfold, whether on a Tuesday practice round or a Friday tournament round. In addition, you can just turn your head to the left and see approaches and putting into the 11th hole. And that's pretty special to see that combination. There was a time you could see them tee off on 13, but now that tee box has been pushed back so far, less likely, but you'll have all the fun you need watching play at 11 and then 12. So right behind the 12th tee, you get that. In addition, as I mentioned, a hillside or slope that goes back where you can still see. You don't even have to be tall enough to where it's an issue, because it's the gradual upslope. So put yourself in a position to see play come down the 11th hole. And if you get a little further closer to the 12th tee, can actually see the tee shots at 12 very, very nicely. Al, I know I have spent time with you at the right outside elbow of the dog leg on the par 5 13th. For years was my favorite spot to watch golf shots, because you had that incredible decision on whether the pro was going to go for it in 2 or not. Well, eventually it was less of a decision because the hole got so short for those guys that everybody wound up wanting to go for it. Even so, it was thrilling to know that you're looking out at a bank on the other side of the creek full of azaleas and beautiful pine trees, and all the way up the creek goes, and you can just make out with your master's binoculars the approach that flies the creek, Rays Creek, or doesn't, and those four gorgeous bunkers etched into the slope behind the green at 13. Now, yes, if I had a pet peeve over the last 10 to 15 years, by trying to make the hole a little more challenging, the Masters folks planted a number of pine trees on that elbow, along with pine straw that was easy to drive into. Made for a little tougher viewing because you might get stuck behind one of the pine trees no matter what angle you're at. If you can get there early enough and avoid that, fantastic spot. Um, I got two more to talk about. The right side of the 10th fairway. This is the massive par four, 500 yards or so, that tumbles downhill significantly. And when you can position yourself on the right side to be able to see the drives as they come down, they will most likely be somewhat near you. So watch out because that's the better angle to come in from. But what you're left with is a close-up shot of a right-handed player playing a challenging approach over a seldom used gorgeous Mackenzie bunker to a difficult green set up again on a little slope, surrounded by pines and the rest. It's just a gorgeous picture. So, right side of 10 is where I take every first timer that is willing to walk with me for a little while. And then finally, kind of a hidden gem, the sixth hole. Okay. I have a tall former colleague who was one of the favorites, John Garrity, a longtime Sports Illustrated writer, who called behind the sixth tee box Augusta National's most thrilling spectator perch. That may be John at 6'7", had no problem with viewing wherever he was on the golf course. But aside from that spot, there's the hillside underneath the sixth tee, where on a nice day, get some sunshine when it's dry, you can hang there. You can't see who's hitting, but you can see the results as they go to the sixth green and see them putt out. And then turn your head to the right, and there's the 16th green. Great par three in its own right, and you can see what's going on there. So I know I went on a bit, but those are my absolute must-dos as far as favorite spots, whether you're there for the first time or whether you're going back and just hadn't thought about those places.
Can't argue with any of those. No, those are five beauties in particular. I love 10. 10's my favorite hole at Augusta. I actually like the left side of 10 too. Really good angle from either side of that hole. I'll just throw in the conversation. The back of 2 green is an extremely popular spot where you can see a lot of golf. You can see number 2, tee off on 3, tee off on 8, and then 7 green is also right there. So a good gathering spot for a lot of good golf shots. I like 3 tee a lot. I think 3 is an interesting and challenging par 3 hole with a good vantage point from behind that tee box, being able to see guys go through there. Excuse me. I said 3T, I meant 4T. Par 3
Oh,
fourth. You
the
can
long par
see,
three that, yep.
yes, yes. Not the third, the fourth, but you can also see 3 green from that spot behind 4T. So not 3, par 3 fourth. 7T, Joe, after the 6th, wander on over to the 7th tee. There's usually not a lot of people back there. One reason being there's not a lot of room back there for you to stand. And I've always been able to get a really good spot where you're very close to a player as they're teeing off on that tight par 4 7th. You can get up close and personal on that tee shot and see how each player approaches that hole. And then the grandstand on 15, I spent some time there last year. That famous par 4 or par 5, excuse me. If you're up in that like top left corner of that grandstand, you can see both the approach into 15 and then the tee balls on 16 as well. So I like those spots too.
All good choices. And there really are plenty of great choices out there. Depending if you want to see something, how much you value the architecture and the shot value that you're looking at, say, versus I just want an up close look at a Masters competitor, and you can have it both ways.
Yeah. One more for you, and then I'll go
Yeah,
after
and
you.
my next one is very brief. A must do, despite my own track record, uh, are the honorary starters. Thursday morning. I know mostly in the past has been something in the neighborhood of 7:40, maybe 8 o'clock, but something in that neighborhood. Yeah, tough sometimes waking up to get there that early. Um, I'm I'm embarrassed to say I have never done it in 17 trips to the Masters.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, not once. I got there very close a couple of times, but was not there to actually see it. And the one time I was there on time was late enough where I was blocked out in every direction and couldn't actually see the swing. Okay, so for those of you going this year or next, whenever it happens for you, um, the honorary starters for 2025: Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Tom Watson. Because I'm an old fogey, I got to see them all play in multiple Masters in the actual tournament. But if you haven't had that privilege and you want to see any of these three, all of these three, hit a golf shot on at Augusta National, be there on time and early. I think the gates open at 7 a.m. And just to stand and pay your respects and watch the honorary starters hit the opening tee ball, that's all they play,
mhm.
is from what I understand now, is a must do.
It's I did it too. It's the everyone's watching because everyone's so glued in to when the Masters is beginning, and you've all seen it on TV. Um, yeah, when I did it, it was basically the same thing. It's so packed around that tee box that you're all I could really see was the club up at the top of the swing, and then the ball going in the air. It's definitely a cool thing to do, um, given the tradition around it and given the guys who are doing it. Uh, and I like trying to get there and doing that if you're going on that Thursday, and then after grabbing yourself some breakfast from one of the concession stands maybe, and getting ready for the rest of the day. Uh, Worth doing for sure. You may not get a good view at those guys, depending on how early you are, but it's a good thing to check off the bucket list.
Yeah, I think because it's such a storied tradition at the Masters, whether whether you go once or 30 times, I mean, it's important. You got
Hmm.
to say you did this. And I vow if I'm ever back on a Masters for Thursday, I will make that happen. But yeah, again, so much of the Masters and our memories are connected with the lore and the tradition that that's a major one.
You'll try at least. Scout's honor. You'll give it the good old college try. I got a couple of simple things that you just everyone needs to do when they go to the Masters. The first being when you're going in, get yourself that patrons guide that they hand out and a pairing sheet. That's going to be extremely helpful, as you're not going to be able to rely on your phone for when guys are teeing off and scores and things like that. Um, Given the scores that guys started out at to go into the day when they're playing. Um, on these items that are free to every spectator, you have helpful information like a site map, so it gives you an idea of where you're at on the course and where to go for certain things, restrooms, concessions, etc. You got your starting times. You've got the numbers on the caddy bibs for every player, as people know, the previous year's winner always sports the number one on their caddy bib. Everyone else, it's by order of how they came in for registration at the event. So if you don't know who you're following or want to follow someone in particular, that's a useful tidbit to have, the caddy bib number. And then they also include a treasure trove of historical facts and figures that's always really interesting to read, between shots, or if you have some downtime out there, you can read all about the history at this wonderful tournament. So just grab one of those, put it in your back pocket because it's very useful while you're there.
Yeah, they come in the equivalent of like a green wooden mailbox,
Right.
just on a post. The fact that they're free and the fact that they're so conveniently placed, just yep, grab one and you know what's going on for the rest of the day.
Good memento, too, of your time there. The second would be uh, you got a plan for your day, especially if you're in a group setting where you're not going to be with the people that you came in with the entire time. If you're planning on splitting up at all, there's no way to really assure that you're going to be able to find the other people in your party while you're there. Um, you can't just shoot them a text and say, meet here. You need to pick a place and a time that you both can agree on to meet back up. So the best spot for this, I think, on the course is meeting under the big oak tree by the clubhouse. Everyone knows this gargantuan oak that's right there. You're next to the first tee behind the 18th green and putting green and 10th tee. It's an easy point of reference when you're splitting up and trying to pick that time to regroup. You're also very likely to see someone that you know, whether that's personally or if that is a celebrity who's on the grounds that day. It's just become the standard meeting spot for everyone who attends the tournament is to meet at the Big Oak um, and regroup or find who you were with. So even if you're not splitting up from people, just go by over there and kind of stay a while and see who you see. It's a fun thing to see and a fun place to be at Augusta.
Most definitely. Maybe in this day and age, the absolute biggest frustration, other than not being able to get a master's ticket, is just not being able to communicate, with who you came with. Um, Again, for one day or one week a year, for that inconvenience to maintain the purity of the experience, free of distraction, just concentrating on each other, on the golf, on the place that you're at. Yeah, I definitely can live with that and make the oak tree, uh, the fulcrum. Make it the focal point and the meeting place.
And don't plan on seeing that person exactly at the time that you said you were going to see them. You're probably going to have to wait around a little bit if you beat them there, just for the sake of the volunteers holding the ropes for players to come through. It's sort of a conundrum that everyone faces out there, and you think you can get there at a particular time, but it's sort of out of your control. So give yourself plenty of time getting around. Um, and yeah, if you have a watch, that's also super helpful to be know what time it is out there.
Great point. If you haven't used a regular camera in a while, you get to use it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at Augusta. If you don't wear a watch very often anymore because our cell phones do that for us,
Right.
yeah, remember, bring a watch to your master's round.
Yeah, of course.
So something else, Al, that you should bring to your master's round walking are comfortable shoes. Okay, it almost goes without saying, but
It needs to
uh,
be said
it
100%.
again, if you haven't been there, and even if you don't know, and even if you have, it is really hilly. I mean, it will be physically taxing on a warm day, so to speak. It can be especially physically taxing on a wet, rainy day because the cut of the grass is so short throughout Augusta National that even a little bit of moisture, you're not going to get mud and mudslides, but just the moisture alone um, will make it for very challenging walking if you're not careful because you have so many downslopes, especially that you have to navigate. So I would say golf shoes are fine if you're comfortable enough. Spikes are not permitted, but if there's a golf shoe that you can wear and feel great about the round, otherwise a good pair of tennis shoes that won't mark up anything will help both for support, comfort, and traction. When the grass does get wet and you want to move around for a big part of the day, not a bad idea to whether you have an umbrella or you go into the merchandise tent and get a master's umbrella, use it as a walking stick. You don't have to block people from seeing anything, but it's just there as a little safety valve in case you're a little unsteady. Down you go. So that's my recommendation on being there for an all-day experience. Make it comfortable, but make it practical for surviving uh, the conditions.
Yeah, your puppies will be yelping by the end of the day, and they so often every time I go, it's you see people who are dressed to the nines and they're trying to show out while they're there. I've seen high heels out there, Joe, and just it's just kind of remarkable that people could make that choice when they know. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be walking all day. Like, come on, and beyond the fact that it's a golf tournament and you're going to be walking all day, it's Augusta National and the hills are real. So, um, you know, I salute you if you want to try to make a fashion statement, but this is really not the place, in my opinion.
We're green. Yep.
Right. Yeah. You want
Yeah,
to hit one more?
I've only got one more
Okay.
on my list.
Got it.
If that's applause in the background, I don't want to hear it. You mute that out. Um, no, I mean, for a special master's experience that is a fairly recent tradition, but it's just evolved, so to speak. And that is pose for a photo in front of the clubhouse. So, what do we mean by that? Well, nearly all of the action at the Masters takes place on the far side of the clubhouse where the golf course is laid out. But your one opportunity for a regular ticket or badge to be on the front of the clubhouse, the entrance to Augusta National. They have a beautiful flower bed with a flag planted in it right at Augusta, Georgia. Well, that's, of course, Al, show them the logo again on your
There you
shirt.
go.
So
Uh-huh.
this is a
Yes,
flower bed.
yes.
And now I can't swear to this. Should have done a little more research. In the past, you would line up, and the lines could be pretty long. And an official photographer from the club, the tournament, would take your photo, make arrangements for you to get it, or allow you to have the photo, a friend or someone else in line take that photo. And it's a fantastic keepsake right there with the famous clubhouse in the background. And it's also cool to go over there, even if you don't pose for the photo, because you get Magnolia Lane, the entrance for members and competitors at the Masters, which none of the public ever gets to drive down. Um, you have that to look at as well. So that would be another recommendation. Go early, just kind of get that out of the way if you can before maybe the lines get too long, and there you go, a fantastic keepsake from the Masters.
Yeah, and according to the masters.com/patron page, they have a section on this called Patron Photos. Patrons may have a photo taken free of charge on all days, Monday through Sunday, at Founder Circle, located in front of the clubhouse. To get there, you head towards the par 3 course, and you'll be directed across the road to the patron photo queue. The hours for that it begins at 7:30 and ends at 5 p.m. every day, with the exception of Tuesday. It's 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Wednesday 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. So if you're going on Wednesday, you have a very limited window to get that done before the par 3 contest commences, but it is still a thing. And yeah, I've never done it, Joe. I've always seen pictures of people posting that. I'm like, how do they get that. There must be some sort of special access to people I've seen who've taken that picture in front of the clubhouse like that. And on the other side of that is Magnolia Lane, but apparently not. Apparently anybody can go and do this, and it's totally free. So why not?
Hey, there are still things left for you and I to do at the Masters. So check that one off.
Okay, might have to do that. All right, I will round out my list and we'll get out of here with this. One of my must dos is at concessions. Um, my point here is to try it all. Maybe not everything, but with everything being so affordable at the concession stands, don't second guess about whether you should have gotten one thing or another thing. Um, just purchase what your heart desires and even go back for more. I mean, you're at the Masters. You have to try it if you have any remote interest in what something might taste like, from the trail mix to the cookies to the chips even. I mean, um, just get it all and then share with people if you don't feel like you can finish it. My personal preferences here, if you're going to get in that concession line, it's egg salad versus pimento cheese, and I lean towards the egg salad. Joe, I don't know how you feel about that. um, Quickly, your thoughts there before my other suggestions.
Yeah, egg salad is solid. Okay. Also at $1.50, it's tied for the least expensive sandwich on the menu. And it's tied with the pimento cheese sandwich, the aforementioned pimento cheese. That whole concept, it kind of freaks out people sometimes that just aren't from the South or don't know about it.
Hmm.
Um, it's it's creamy. It's peppered, but not hot peppered, with little chunks of red pimento. It's fine. It's harmless. It's actually really tasty. And that is my preference over the egg salad, as much for that much more tradition. But both of them are fine in my book, especially at $1.50 a piece.
To each their own. Both are good, as you said. I also like the chicken salad on honey wheat that they offer as another sandwich option. The barbecue sandwich is good too. The sports drink, which is like a blue Powerade, if not blue Powerade, but it's called the sports drink at the concessions there. Nice way to get some electrolytes back in you. And if it's on offer, I know they brought it back last year, the Georgia Peach Ice Cream Sandwich, which has that peach ice cream between two sugar cookies, is to die for. So I would definitely recommend getting that.
It's funny, as awesome as the Masters has held the prices down for everything, that Georgia peach ice cream sandwich since 2017 has gone from $2 to $3 for this year. At least in the last 8 years, at some point it was raised to $3. And on a warm, beautiful April afternoon, you would pay $30 for
Oh,
one of those. Again, you described it, but I had a colleague years ago who described it as, quote, a massive slab of peach ice cream smashed between two sugar cookies,
yeah.
and loved it. And then just that alone made me try it. And I'm very sorry I hadn't sampled it earlier, but well worth your $3.
Throw the calorie count out the window when you're there. You're walking most of it off anyways, so don't worry
And you're
about
at
it
the
at all.
Masters.
And you're at the Masters. Uh, Another
Budgets and calorie counts get thrown out.
right. It won't be too hard on your wallet, that's for sure. Use the courtesy phones to make a call while you're at the Masters. I do this every single year. I know that they have them to the right of the second fairway, behind the 16th tee, near those restroom facilities at both places, and then to the left of 18, as you're walking between 17 and 18. There are landlines, phones that look like a pay phone that you don't have to pay, that you can make calls to loved ones from. Um, just remember when you go to, if you're going to use these phones, um, you know, I come from maybe the last generation that had to remember phone numbers of their friends to dial from their house phone before there were cell phones. But write down a phone number if you want to call somebody if you can't remember it to surprise them with a call from the grounds. But just know that when you do, that when you call them, they'll see an Augusta number pop up that they won't know anything more than it's from Augusta. I think I even called my mom and dad one time and it came up as spam on their end. Um, and they might reject that call. So you might want to give them a heads up that you're going to be calling. It's a good surprise, but don't be alarmed if they don't answer your call because it could come in as I don't know this number. I'm not answering this. That's what I would normally do when a number comes in that I don't know. I'm like, they'll leave a message if it's important. So maybe tip them off that you're going to call them.
Al, I have let one person in particular know that I would be calling from Augusta. It wasn't a surprise. I've done it on at least three different occasions that I can recall. And that would be Murray, our tax man in Los Angeles. Because as you know, the Masters finishes up
Yeah,
right
that's
before
right.
April 15th. Taxes are due. And inevitably, I have questions and issues. And Murray, hi, this is Joe. I've got a couple of things I needed to talk to you about. And we discuss our tax return from the stately grounds at Augusta National.
I also got a because no one has their phones. I got to be a newsbreaker last year when I called my wife. She informed me while we were there that O.J. Simpson had passed away, and of course that had happened while the tournament was going on, and no one else knew. So I got to be the person that telling everyone around me, O.J. Simpson has passed. Oh my goodness! But so that
That's
was a
it.
nice way to be on the inside at Augusta through the
So,
phone.
would you call that, Al, your 2024 Masters highlight, or would it be the round of golf that you played on Monday?
I'd say it's a close second.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. It was thrilling to be able to tell people something that they didn't know that I had a trusted source on the outside through the
All right.
ring. Uh,
Before
yeah.
we let everybody go, I do, looking back from a year ago, just the effect it's had on you, any conversations. I mean, it's been a whole year now. Um, you got picked and drawn and got to play Augusta National, played very respectably. What does it mean to look back a year later?
Yeah. I got the chance to read, a lot of things from other people who in the media who had done the same thing. And it was a good exercise to help me reflect on it as well. It's everyone, asks from my profession, what's the best course you've ever played? Now it's like, well, I played Augusta National, and it's oh my goodness, and then it's the only thing you can talk about at that point. I try not to lead with it in conversation, just to not come off as braggadocious about the entire thing. But given everyone wants to know what the experience was like and all that. One person, Chris Solomon from No Laying Up, Solly, uh, played last year, and I listened to what he had to say about it, and he described the experience as if you were floating the entire time you were there, and I thought that was pretty spot on. It's sort of an out of body thing that even I look back at pictures now, it's like I can't believe that that actually happened. Um, but it's maybe the most memorable round of my entire life. It would be hard to say that it's not. And I just feel very lucky and fortunate and thankful that I was provided that opportunity by Augusta National. So, um, yeah, it gives me chills to think that almost exactly a year ago I was walking around and parring my way through Amen Corner.
Al, here's how you work it. As you get older, you'll understand this technique, and you meet someone at a cocktail party. Ah, hello, Bill. Good to meet you. You got a nice strong handshake, just like the handshake of the caddy that I had the time I played Augusta National. They're just ways of popping it out there,
Sure,
and off you go.
sure, sure. Yeah, like what's on your bucket list? I'm like, well, not Augusta, because I actually got to check that one off last year.
What would you
Yeah.
like for dinner? Well, I know at Augusta National they serve this because yeah, I played there actually last year. So we've got ways to work that into casual everyday conversations. But
Yeah.
hey, for what we covered today, we spent a good fair bit of time with it. But anybody, again, that is lucky enough, it's just so special to be there, hopefully on a decent day with sunshine and mild temperatures. But for many sports fans, the absolute thrill of a lifetime. Hopefully, we gave you some insights into how to maximize that time at this very special place.
And the last point I was going to make is when you're there, you're going to want to be everywhere and see everything, but take some time to pick a spot and stay there and watch several groups come through to get a glimpse of how different players approach the challenge of a given hole or are thwarted by the brilliance of Augusta National by landing in certain spots. So take it in. You know, I always say close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then open them. And yes, you're at Augusta National and you're at the Masters. That's one thing I do every single year, and that is a must do. On my final point on this must do list is just close your eyes and open them up, and you're there, and it's incredible. So, like Joe said, hope you learned something. Would love to hear other must dos that people have, but yeah, a long-winded way of saying that this is the best golf tournament in the world, and just enjoy it again for another year. And for Joe Passoff, I'm Al Lunsford. We will talk to you again next time.